Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Crypto Convo, series where we cover exciting news and price action in the land of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. You guys, we are seeing a beautiful bounce right now in the cryptocurrency markets following that insane sell-off that we saw a couple of days ago. Of course, the one day that I don't record a video is arguably the most eventful day of 2021, at least so far. But we are back, crypto's bouncing back, and of course I want to talk to you guys about what I'm personally seeing on the charts right now, and also read through a few short articles with you as well to catch up on some of the fundamentals around the space on top of talking technicals. Okay, so let's get into it. As always, we'll quickly go over each topic we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, TradingView. You guys know the drill, where we will talk technicals, price action, and price targets on the following names today. In this order, going down the watch, as you can see right here. Kicking it off, of course, with the king. So kicking it off with Bitcoin, I want to talk to you guys about how for all these names, I see the rest of this month playing out. And I want to give you guys kind of both scenarios, the bull case and the bear case. Right now, it's kind of a toss-up if I'm being completely honest. I do skew a little more bearish, and I will rationalize those thoughts for you as we do dive into the charts and articles. But just want to give you guys that heads up right now. So again, kick it off with the king. Got to kick it off with BTC. Then moving on to Ethereum. Then ChainLink, then EOS, then DOGE. So we will lace in some of the articles here. We'll kick it off with Bitcoin on the charts. Actually, you know what? We'll kick it off with this article because this is probably the single biggest piece of news, at least over the past couple of days. On top of all the regulatory stuff, there's just kind of a swarm of negative news and negative optics around Bitcoin right now, obviously, which is what contributed to that massive sell-off a couple of days ago. Okay, so CNBC. U.S. Treasury calls for stricter cryptocurrency compliance with IRS, says they pose tax evasion risk. So this actually is not negative news. Was just talking to people in the Discord about this. Regulation and regulatory hurdles for such a young space like the cryptocurrency markets is actually a very good thing. It validates the space on a very like a professional, on a legal basis. Okay, so it's good news for the space. Regulation is ultimately good. Too much regulation, overstepping that regulation and making it difficult or limiting the cryptocurrency space is different. But this is good. Just tax, like it's very obvious that crypto does definitely does pose some threat for tax evasion, for potential tax evasion. So this is actually, I think this is good news overall for as far as longevity in the space is concerned. So we will kick it off with this. In terms of the next article, this is actually a fun one, and this is actually an opinion piece that I read through, and I just wanted to share with you guys. So this is titled by Jim Bianco of Bloomberg. So shout out to you, shout out to the author here. Why the Bitcoin crash was a big win for cryptocurrencies under extreme stress. The decentralized finance system worked as designed. So again, you guys, this is kind of just to remind ourselves of why we're bullish on crypto from a fundamental perspective over the long haul. Again, right now, just tail of the tape, reading the charts, taking a look at my charts through my lens, it's seeming a little bearish. The fundamentals, the general optics around Bitcoin are still negative. I think investor sentiment is overall negative, or definitely skews negative for the most part at this point in time. So even if we do see short-term downside, gotta splash that long-term bullishness in here for you guys. And again, just remind ourselves of why we like this space from a fundamental perspective, and why I'm personally holding a bag long. Okay, so this is the next article we'll look at. We'll kick it off with this. Go into Bitcoin, go into this article, go back to the charts, take a look at ETH, and then we'll go ETH, Link, EOS, and then as we close it out with Doge, I actually want to take a look at this fun last article that we're going to talk about today, titled "Younger Investors Are Calling Bitcoin Boomer Coin. Here's Why They Prefer Dogecoin and Other Altcoins." So you guys know, if you've watched, I'm not the biggest Doge supporter, not the biggest Doge fan. Never bought it, never will. But I do think it gives an interesting insight into the market right now, into this very retail heavy, retail flooded, especially with these weird altcoins right now. These all the altcoins like Doge, you guys know what I'm talking about here. But we will talk about this. I want to give you guys kind of just my fundamental thoughts, and just kind of talk to you just general thoughts around the retail environment and why I do think that this will have kind of a strange effect on the cryptocurrency space, and not only the crypto space, but in equities as well. Okay, so we'll close it out with this. It's a pretty fun article. As we go down, we'll take a look at the tweet. And again, it's very interesting from my perspective because I don't agree with this at all, but there's a lot of people out there who do. And again, even if you don't feel a certain way, it's very important when making decisions, when investing and stuff, to understand both sides of the coin, always be able to argue against yourself. So that's kind of what we're going to do here. It's just a fun little thought experiment to close out the video. Before we do dive into the charts, I will ask you guys, as always, to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today, or if you're bullish on crypto, if you got a long-term bag of crypto like I do. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and want to catch more content like this. And of course, check out my complete portfolio and daily newsletter. First link down in the description. If you want, exactly as it states, a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio, which I do update every single trading day during market hours. Call options, put options, stock positions, of course, cryptocurrencies. If you want to know when I'm personally buying back into these cryptocurrencies, or when I'm trading all the crypto stocks that we talk about here a lot on the channel as well. Again, during actual market hours, you don't have to wait for the video later in the day. That is going to be $15 a month. First link in the description. And along with every portfolio update, I do send out an email newsletter explaining my thoughts, rationalizing my trades, throwing some charts in there, throwing price targets in, literally letting, even if I'm not trading, I will throw in some, I'll just share with you guys the information that I believe is important at the time of writing. Okay. So again, $15 a month means a lot if you guys check that out. First link down below. But if not, as always, no worries. So let's dive into this article. Just read a few key points here and then jump straight into the Bitcoin chart. Key points. The Treasury Department announced that it will require any transfer worth $10,000 or more to be reported to the IRS. That's pretty standard, that's very standard practice. Cryptocurrency already poses a significant detection problem by facilitating illegal activity broadly, including tax evasion. The Treasury said investors have seen the value of Bitcoin slide about 25% over the past month and talk of capitulation creep into online forums. So again, you guys, as far as optics are concerned, there's regulatory issues, there's regulatory hurdles, which once again are good, but a big reason for this sell-off we saw. So let's just get straight in here. We'll get rid of these guys because you guys know the drill. That's just for the intro, just to make it look pretty. But this sell-off right here was insane. Like, look at that volume. Look at that sell volume. This was a straight up little liquidity crisis. And if you guys did, we're not going to talk about kind of a lot of the factors that were in play with this, but a lot of it is just the hyper leverage that's present not only in the crypto markets, but in all markets, but more so the crypto markets. Like in certain platforms allow you to trade with 50x, 100x leverage, which is, I never, I've been contacted by some of these companies, these exchanges that do this, and I've always said no to brand deals with them because I do not support trading with that insane type of leverage. That's how you lose literally all of your money. And that's also what leads to crazy sell-offs like this, because when you have to, if you're trading with that leverage, if it goes down below a certain point, you have to cover your ass. You got to cover your calls pretty much. So that's what happened. We just saw this flood of sell volume, little liquidity crisis, eaten back up relatively quickly, and found a base around $34,000, $35,000, hitting my initial price target. If you guys saw back here, right after we broke through this, as I was recording the last video, we had just broken through this. We literally touched the $41,000 region for the first time, was my initial price target. And then my next price target to the downside, which I was definitely expecting, was $35,000. So we came below that, again, eaten back up pretty quickly, came back down once again a few hours later to retest that $35,000 area. And from here is obviously, from here, where do we go is the question. So from a short-term perspective, we were in this very, very strong downtrend beginning on May 11th. So over the past week or so, very, very strong, very steep downtrend here. We finally broke above that just earlier today, got above it, wasn't able to close. We weren't able to close this 4 hour above it right here that you can see. Came back down below. It's still under this trend, really struggling to get above this. And at the time of recording, we did just break above it. We're currently above this purple line right here, which is the line of resistance on the short-term downtrend. So a closure above this line will be promising. I do like to see that. This orange line right here, just again, which was my initial price target, this area is going to act as not only a floor but a ceiling as well. Once it's broken below this is this general area, you can see it's breaking above it, but just these general levels, you guys, you have to look for these lines, these trend lines, these lines of both support and resistance, using these previous highs, and that's how I've dictated these two price targets right here. Okay, so we are technically in a short-term breakout. We have broken resistance. I mean, arguably you could go like this as well, though, to use that high right there. So I mean, in that case, we are kind of technically below this line of resistance, just using this candle that broke above it but didn't close. So I do want to see kind of a daily closure, just to, I mean, to play it real safe. I would need to see to flip short-term bullish, I would need to see a closure above $46,000 and breach past this high on May 17th prior to that massive sell-off, okay? Or prior to what kind of initiated that sell-off. So a closure above $46,000 would lead me to believe that maybe this green arrow scenario plays out by the end of the month. So June 1st, both of these June 1st price targets, if we do test these two trend lines, which do intersect on June 1st. This red line right here is the line of resistance on the overall downtrend from Bitcoin's high around $63,000 a while back now. Okay, so there's this trend line, and then this like cyan trend line, which is just come into play a lot. So this cyan trend line is a very, very strong line of support. Once Bitcoin broke this cyan trend line on May 12th, that's when I was very convinced that we would see a sell-off because a very significant line of support was broken. So these two trend lines do intersect exactly on June 1st. If Bitcoin can bounce back, set a lower high on the overall uptrend, but also just hit that, it would be very satisfying to see this. That would take us to about $55,000. Now, if we do hit that, I do think there's probably going to be more downside ahead for all the fundamental reasons that I've been talking about over the past couple of weeks. If you guys have been tuning in, just the economy reopening, everyone getting back outside, just investor sentiment is just lowering. People have to go back to work. If you just lost a bunch of money in the crypto markets and you have to go back to work, you have to start making money again. You're not getting like the unemployment benefits and stuff anymore, which is a lot easier to just throw around in the markets because you don't care about it as much. There's just a multitude of factors that lead me to believe that there will probably, like, this is best case scenario, at least as far as the short term is concerned. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think Bitcoin is going to break a new all-time high, maybe until close to the end of the year as we get into like fall, winter. I think the summer is going to be pretty slow. Downside target is going to be like low at the very, very low end. It's going to be $24,000, which is the very, very first high from like the very initial high. So again, you guys, once lines of support are broken, like again, this cyan line or this blue cyan line that was broken, when that was broken, I'm just looking at levels. So all these levels right here, maybe we come down to this area right here, this initial, this second high right here. So first high, very first high. This is going to be my floor for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin hits $24,000, I'm throwing the net worth in on it. But we could get down to like $28,000. We could get down to like these areas over here. So always, you guys, this applies for everything. This applies to all bubbles, all hype cycles, all rallies. Played many of these. Just look for the previous highs, and those will act as both ceilings and floors over the course of this. So what do I think is the most realistic scenario for Bitcoin right now? I think we're just going to be bouncing pretty much sideways between like maybe $35,000 and $45,000 for a while now. So do I think Bitcoin can get down to $24,000 if the markets continue their pullback, which I also think is likely, that like the S&P and NASDAQ, the tech sector continues the sell-off, which in all honesty I do think is likely as we move into June and close out the month of May, move into June. If that happens, I do think it's likely that Bitcoin maybe comes down to $24,000 to $28,000, $25,000. Massive buyer of Bitcoin personally. So again, you guys, at this point, we're kind of just taking it day by day, but my bet is just a lot of volatility, but mostly just pretty much sideways price action for the most part. Okay, so I know that's not exciting, but that's just kind of the reality of what again, this is just my opinion, you guys. That's what I'm thinking is probably going to play out over the course of the coming weeks. Okay, so high volatility, but mostly sideways. All right, so that is Bitcoin. Let's move on to ETH, but we'll touch on this first just to kind of catch us up on the fundamentals. Okay, remind us of why we're long-term bullish. This did not sync. Sorry, you guys. Let's change this before we dive into that article. Okay, so we will talk about those same price targets for ETH as we get back into this. I'm bummed this didn't sync, but that's all right because we'll figure it out as we get into it. So let's read this and we'll dive into ETH. Okay, so moving in, the cryptocurrency market means different things to different people. To many, it represents an object of naked speculation, which consumes almost all the media coverage about the space. For these people, Wednesday was a bad day, with the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index plunging 19.2% in its worst slide in more than a year. But to others, the crypto space is more than speculative instruments. It is the construction of a new financial system. For them, Wednesday was a huge win that might go down as one of the best days in crypto history. Under extreme stress, the system worked as designed. Yes, problems were uncovered, such as high fees to trade at the most volatile moments. Again, the gas on ETH has been insane lately. So I didn't trade much. I didn't trade at all, to be honest, on that during that sell-off. But I imagine gas fees on ETH were absolutely insane. Let me know in the comments down below if you any gas fee you experienced that was like almost intolerable. But this is known as a problem because the crypto platforms are running at 100% capacity. Solutions to add more capacity and efficiency have been in the works for months and should be operational by year end. To understand why I believe Wednesday was a big victory for crypto, separate the space into its two main categories: centralized and decentralized finance. Centralized is the most familiar. These are regulated exchanges such as BlockFi Inc., shout out BlockFi, to take a look at them right after this, Coinbase Global, and Binance. They run traditional order books with bids and offers much like the New York Stock Exchange. And much like Robinhood Markets Inc. and other traditional brokers, when markets get hectic, they're saddled with delays, system outages, and frustrating customer experiences. These events led many to conclude that the crypto space is not ready for prime time. But the decentralized protocols, which many claim are the future of finance, worked as designed and never went down. While customers grumbled about market losses, they were not complaining that these systems failed them at a critical time. So again, you guys, this is just to say how young the cryptocurrency industry is. Again, I always say what crypto is, it's finance 2.0. It's the next generation of banking. It's the next generation. It's the iterated version, the future of our financial system, and how the entire financial system overall is structured. That's why, again, it's the financial system 2.0. So it's very exciting, you guys. And again, as the markets grow, as people become more involved, as there's more developers, as people get interested in this, there's going to be more minds working on it. Technology increases exponentially. All you guys know that. So therefore, crypto will as well. And there's so much future ahead for crypto. Again, even if the short term is a little sus. Okay, so short term, a little sus. But long term, the fundamentals remain absolutely unchanged. Okay, so that's very important to keep in mind, especially if maybe you had a bag. As the newsletter portfolio, you guys all know that I have been liquidating a lot of my crypto over the past couple of weeks now. So I'm actually very happy with, I ended up taking about 40% profits off of my overall crypto portfolio, which is pretty significant, at least for me. I guess it's all relative, but I felt very good. I feel okay holding the crypto that I have because I'm so long-term bullish on it. And again, I'm looking forward to redeploying that capital when the time comes, when I feel it's ready, and when I feel we're going to make our next big move up. Okay, but that time is not necessarily right now. So on the note of BlockFi, though, you guys, even when crypto is going down, you can make money with your crypto, okay, by having them in BlockFi earning interest for you. Okay, so BlockFi Future Finance, love these guys. So blessed, seriously, so stoked to have BlockFi as a partner to the Waves family. So shout out BlockFi by Waves. Love to, I mean, just it's truly an honor, you guys. So BlockFi, obviously, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Many cool products here. But the reason that I've always been a fan of BlockFi, user of BlockFi, have a lot of my Bitcoin in BlockFi, to be honest, is because you can earn more from your crypto. With a BlockFi interest account, your cryptocurrency can earn up to 8.6% APY. Interest accrues daily and is paid monthly. There are no hidden fees, no minimum balances, and no reason to wait. So Bitcoin, this is a good old interest calculator right here. You have one Bitcoin in BlockFi for 10 years. Over the course of that 10 years, at Bitcoin's current price, you will earn $17,000, $17,500. So obviously, if Bitcoin goes up from $40,000 to $100,000, you get that $60,000 from the BTC, but you also get the interest on top of that. And the beauty of Bitcoin is as Bitcoin goes up in price, the amount of interest you get paid also goes up as well because it's based on a percentage, okay? So again, like blockfi.com/Royce. Link is going to be down in the description. You get up to, if you deposit $10,000, I think, you get $250. You deposit $5K, you get like $125. So you do get a little bonus. I obviously, as a partner, get a little bonus as well. So it's a win-win situation. Even if you guys don't use the link, I highly recommend you check out BlockFi. Always make your own decisions with this one, you guys. But BlockFi, I trust them, and if you're not in BlockFi yet, what are you doing? So shout out BlockFi again. I read through this article and I was like, I can't not shout out BlockFi partners. The team over at BlockFi, we appreciate you guys. Okay, so link down below, blockfi.com/Royce. Let's move into Ether. So Ethereum is looking, I wish this synced, my bad, guys. So extend these out a little bit, and these are just kind of my general price ranges for Ether. Let's do that because that's a little more conservative. So Ethereum, if I'm being if I'm being completely honest, kind of similar to Bitcoin, I do think Ether is going to go mostly sideways for a while, likely in this channel, with the cyan and orange line right here. Okay, so let's go to June. Let's just do June first. Same thing here. Same thing we did with Bitcoin, and do that. Okay, so June 1st. These are the two scenarios I see playing out. This is best case scenario, which I actually, it's possible. I don't think it's likely though, in all honesty. So these are the two scenarios I see playing out. Ether is still in a pretty stark descending channel. You can see it's found some. It after this crazy sell-off, Ether got all the way down to $1,800, which is below. It technically broke this a very strong line of support. Granted, again, it did not close a 4-hour below it. I mean, all the sells were immediately eaten up with buys, pretty much under $2,000, which is validating to see. We did not close a daily candle below this line of support, below this overall very strong, very significant line of support, which is good to see. But again, we're still kind of in sketchy water, guys. This is what we're seeing right now could arguably be just a very significant dead cat bounce. If you guys have been watching me talk about the equity markets, the harder something falls, the harder it's going to bounce, okay? So just, again, the rules of physics apply not only when you drop a bouncy ball, but in the markets as well. The higher you drop something, the harder it falls, the higher it's going to bounce. So we are seeing a bounce right now. Where we go from here, again, I am a little more biased to the downside. I think worst case scenario is Ether comes back down to retest this resistance, okay? So by the end of June, if Ether, support. So if Ether by the end of June does kind of slowly crawl its way down over the course of the next week or so, slowly crawl its way down, maybe stay in this channel, maybe see another little significant sell-off. In all honesty, I think after a sell-off like this, it's rare you don't see a bounce and then some sideways movement, some sideways price action, followed by another drop. So next week, in all honesty, if as a betting man, the same applies for Bitcoin, I think we're probably going to see another little sell-off here over the coming days. But I do think that Ether, same as Bitcoin, you guys, if the overall support is tested for Ethereum, I'm a buyer. So if we get back down to like $2,200 by June 1st, if we come back down to like $2,200, which is the line of support on June 1st, then I'm a buyer of ETH at that point. ETH, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a $10,000 Ethereum over the coming year or so. Maybe definitely next few years, a $10,000 Ether is not at all out of the realm of possibility, which is over 3x from here. But again, short term, just looking at this looks objectively bearish. On the upside, if we do see why is that happening? If we do see a pretty significant bounce, I do think it's very likely that actually we come up to here. Like short term, I kind of want to talk to you guys. I wanted to focus on the June targets right now, but short term, I want to let you guys know what I'm thinking. So obviously, again, Ether is in this very significant downtrend. You could actually draw it kind of like this as well if you want to. So like this is a little more stark. So we're going to see some resistance very soon here around $3,000. If we bounce up, best case scenario for Ether, in my opinion, is going to be about $3,400. But again, you guys, I just don't think it's very likely that we see that happen. So actually, so May 23rd, over in like 3 days, I think we could see like $3,300. But same as Bitcoin, that would still be setting a lower high on the overall downtrend. Okay, so that's Ether. Let's move into Link, just EOS, and then we'll close it out with Doge. Okay, so Link broke a very significant line of support, which unfortunately it is still sitting below. So Link broke out of a very strong ascending channel. It's a bummer to see. I love ChainLink. ChainLink is a very promising project, very strong fundamentals moving forward. But from a technical perspective, unfortunately, Link, why did none of these sync, man? Only Bitcoin synced. But regardless, the trend lines are still intact. But ChainLink right now is under a very strong line of support. So in order for me to flip bullish on ChainLink, I would need to see it close above about $35 at this point, okay? So ChainLink, again, this line of support is extremely strong. We were eating back up, ChainLink getting all the way down to $16, almost seeing a 2x from that low. That's, again, so much liquidations. That's insane. So it was scary, but we are bouncing back nicely, almost 2x, again, from the bottom of that wick. But regardless, we are still faced with very strong resistance here. That was previous very strong support, okay? So TA 101, you guys, I always say this, previous support will act as new resistance and vice versa. In this case, a very strong level of support will likely act as a very strong level of resistance. So I do need to see a closure above 35 to play it safe. To be honest, like 36, 37 bucks even, for me to flip bullish on ChainLink. Again, long term, very bullish. I do still hold a pretty solid little chunk of ChainLink. But right now, I'm definitely not a buyer of Link, okay? So Link will follow this day by day. It's kind of tough to gauge downside price targets. You guys know the drill, like initial highs, okay? So going back to like December, ChainLink spent a lot of time. A significant ceiling was around $14. So worst case scenario for ChainLink is going to be about 14 bucks. I think it's a lot more likely that we do come down to like this area, test these initial highs right here. And then these highs, again, just draw straight lines, you guys, in all these areas. So a lot of price action going around here, a lot of kind of sideways price action going on around here. So maybe we come back down to like 22 bucks, kind of double bottom out. But again, you guys, from a technical perspective, unfortunately, it's not looking good. Let's take a look at EOS quick and then close it out with Doge, the Doge article. So EOS did come below the overall line of support, very significant line of support, but was eaten back up and almost technically setting kind of a higher low on this weird, big, elongated uptrend, this massive ascending channel, this massive megaphone pattern channel. So EOS is kind of a tough read right now. EOS did just raise that massive round that we covered in the last crypto convo. So from a fundamental perspective, EOS is maybe one of the most promising plays, like as a company, like Block One, the company behind EOS, is doing so many big things in this space. So huge fan of Block One. Obviously, Block One having their native cryptocurrency is going to be EOS. EOS is from a technological perspective, a very competent blockchain. So EOS, a lot of potential here. I think a lot of investors are interested in EOS, or they're becoming aware of EOS. It's had a very, very slow year up until recently with all this great news that's come out over the course of May. So maybe we see EOS rip. But again, right now, I am just kind of expecting some sideways price action. It's going to take a while for investors to regain that sentiment, that hyper bullish sentiment that was present prior to this dump. And again, you guys, just looking at this, I've seen this so many times. When you see a massive sell-off like this, you usually see the dead cat bounce. You go sideways for a little bit. Investors are like, oh, maybe it's coming back. Maybe we're bouncing back. But as I said in the newsletter this morning, the same thing applies to the equity markets. When you see a stark sell-off, fear is ingrained. That fear doesn't just go away in a day. Investors are still very cautious. They're still sitting on a lot of cash. And again, there is a lot of people who want to buy. If you're buying long, then this may be a great buying opportunity. But again, personally, as a trader, I'm still very, very cautious. And I do, unfortunately, still think there's more downside ahead. So as far as downside potential goes, I don't think EOS will go, like, I can see EOS getting down to maybe bouncing around $5.5, $6, but I honestly don't think we get much lower than that, just because EOS is like, prospects as a company are so strong. So EOS, as far as asymmetric risk profile, definitely on a long-term time horizon goes, I think EOS is a great buying opportunity right now. Very long-term. Again, I do hold the back of EOS, but I'm not yet comfortable redeploying capital back to reestablish my full-size position just yet. Okay, so let's close it out with Doge and read this article before we get into that, okay? So, while Bitcoin is still relatively new to mainstream investors, the next generation has already pronounced it the dinosaur of crypto. We're looking at Bitcoin in crypto years. Dogecoin millionaire Glauber Contesoto, 33, tells CNBC, make it. We just like to tease Bitcoin people. They're so serious all the time. Indeed, across social media platforms such as Twitter and Reddit, Gen Z and young millennial investors are starting to refer to Bitcoin as boomer coin, particularly during the crypto's major sell-off on a Wednesday. I mean, Doge dumped too, so we'll take a look at that after that. So don't get too ahead of yourself. Many in this next-gen investor cohort prefer to buy other cryptocurrencies known as altcoins or sometimes shitcoins. That's what I didn't want to say in the intro because that actually messes up the monetization. So that's why I danced around that one, but these are shitcoins. RIP Boomer Coin, one Twitter user wrote along with hashtag Bitcoin. RIP Boomer, so that's the thing, you guys. This is such a significant part of the market, and that's why I'm very, very cautious in this market environment. And that's especially why I believe there's probably more downside ahead, because this is a classic, the stages of denial, if you guys have seen those charts before. So we're selling off right now. Doge getting very, very close to my price target, you guys. It beat me to my price target. I still think Doge will close the month, in all honesty, around, I'll be conservative here, I'll say around 18 cents. So I do think Doge will get down to 18 cents, more likely than not to be. Oh, actually, here we can expand this out a little bit because that's just the end of May. So this actually looks way more conservative. Okay, so actually it's probably gonna happen faster than that if we sell off again, if I'm being completely honest. But Doge also in a very, very stark downtrend. You can see this trend line right here. Everyone's eyeballing this trend line. So the upside on Doge is pretty minimal from a trend perspective. Doge technically would need to break above about 44 cents. I'll just say 45 cents to play it safe. So if Doge breaks above 45, almost 46 cents, then maybe I'll think that it's very likely from a technical perspective that we are in a short-term uptrend. We are in a short-term breakout because resistance was broken. But Doge, you can't look at this chart and be bullish. Again, the standard two wave here. The first wave, the first bubble pops, you see capitulation, you see the second wave, that bubble pops. That's usually like kind of the end of the short-term rally. Most of the time, you usually see 2 waves and then a long period of capitulation. So Doge, I do still think Doge is on its way down. Again, the optics around everything are pretty sus right now. A lot of people just lost a lot of money in Dogecoin, and they're primarily this part of the market, like all these guys who just are part of that meme market, like the retail investor who doesn't really they don't really care about fundamentals. They're here for it. It's more of the casino play. That's what the shitcoin market is. It's all just a casino as opposed to actual like fundamental investing. Like Doge, the fundamental, it doesn't have fundamentals. There's no fundamentals of Doge. There's no cap to it. You can just print as much Doge as you want. Whatever Elon's helping the team, I'll believe it when I see it. But Doge is a very classic case of what is a pump and dump. I'm not going to say it's a pump and dump. I'm not saying Doge will be valuable, will be worth something over the course of the next decade, but this is a very classic FOMO, hype cycle, emotion-driven rally that I do think we'll see another sell-off in the near future, okay? So Doge end-of-month price target is going to be conservatively 15 cents. I'm going to say Doge comes down to 15 cents, okay? So we will close it out there, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Crypto Convo. Always fun to talk some fundamentals, talk some technicals, especially in such volatile markets like this. Take a look at Bitcoin to close it out. Yeah, Bitcoin's it's really struggling to get above this resistance on this downtrend still. So Bitcoin, to sum all of this up, you guys, at this point, there could potentially be more significant downside ahead depending on how scared investors really are. But the long-term fundamentals are there. And of course, I will keep you guys posted on my thoughts as we evolve, as we move through this volatile time in the market. So please let me know in the comments down below. If you're still here, throw a 100 emoji down below. If you're still here, if you made it all the way through the video, let me know what your favorite coin is right now, what you feel like is discounted, what you're stoked to pick up at a discount. Because again, you guys, even if things fall a bit further, long term, if you believe in the fundamental prospects of the coins, of the projects you're investing in, that's all that really matters long term, okay? If you keep those hands strong, keep those diamond hands, then you don't have much to worry about, okay? So we'll call it there, you guys. I'll catch you downstairs in the comments. And until next time, always remember, take action. Make waves. Peace.